Guess who's back? Back again. Charlotte's back. Tell a friend. Yeah, I'm not going to say the F word, but they... Oh, God. So in the space of about 6 weeks, I went to hospital for a partial blockage, found Nana on the floor following a fall, to then have her have pneumonia and nearly die, to moving house, leaving my job and becoming a full-time carer. And I still wondered why my brain went it down the toilet. Hello and welcome back if you are not new here. If you are new, my name is Charlotte and apparently I make books on the internet about books, bargains and life with a chronic illness. Although, as you may have seen, I have been away for, I think my last video went up at the end of July, and as I'm filming this it's the middle of August. So I posted over on my Instagram a link for you guys to leave me anonymous questions. And I'm just kind of going to go through them. A lot of the questions covered topics that I'd want to talk about anyway, so let's get going. As you may be able to see, I'm in a brand new setup and all of that will be explained throughout this video. I am still trying to get to grips with the lighting and the sound and things in my new setup. And also, if you do hear me, you may hear noises in the background. I now live in a bungalow, so Tom and Nana are right next door. So one of the biggest questions that I got asked was, where have you been? And I also had a couple of lovely comments saying that people missed me. And thanks, that really made my day. Well, where have I been? So if we go back to, I think the last time I'd have been seen around the internet was the mixtape-a-thon, summer mixtape-a-thon sprints at the beginning of August, and I was not in a good place mentally. At the time, Nana was in hospital and I was struggling a little bit with my anxiety and panic attacks anyway before this happened, and I was just kind of running on empty. I didn't want to admit how bad my chronic illness was leaving me feeling, because I'm the kind of person who likes to tell myself that I'm fine and I can keep going and everything will be fine, which, note to self, isn't the best way forward. And at the time, I had a conversation with Leanne and Victoria, who said they could tell that I wasn't my best self at the time, and I mean, I didn't take it too well, I'll admit that. I think sometimes when you're trying to put on this front of I'm okay, everything's okay, I'm fine, it backfires spectacularly. So I decided to take a few weeks off of the internet, including Instagram for a while as well. And yeah, things behind the scenes got ever more hectic, and I myself have been in hospital. I'm currently signed off work sick, and I have handed in my notice at my job because my body just can't do it, and that is a lot for me to come to terms with. I mean, that neatly leads on to somebody asked, how's my physical health and how's my mental health? And both are not brilliant right now. Physically, I'm having a lot of pain and bloating and tiredness. I'm napping most afternoons. Mentally, I'm a bit like this at the moment, up and down, up and down. Having to leave my job has come as a blow because I loved the support work that I was doing, but I just was spreading myself a bit too thin with everything else that's going on that I will come to in this video. I apologise now if this video is a little bit all over the place. I've tried to kind of order the questions so that they flow nicely, but there's a lot to talk about. So next is, why have you moved? Was it planned? No, it wasn't planned. So as I said, Nana had a fall and she spent 7 weeks in hospital. Now, Nana was living pretty independently at home before the fall. We were doing a lot for her, and we had been umming and ahhing for a while about whether we thought that she would have to move in with us for more support. And I don't know if I already said in this video, Nana's 96 years old and she has Alzheimer's disease, which is a type of dementia. And so she would forget to eat and she would forget just basic things really. She needed a lot of prompting, and we were already doing a lot for her and going up when we could to make sure she was eating, but we knew during the time in the day when we weren't there that she wasn't eating. But she is very fiercely independent, so we were struggling with that one. And then she had this fall and turned out to have a really nasty urine infection and pneumonia, and like I say, we nearly lost her at the beginning of August, but thankfully we didn't. And after I think it was a 7-week hospital stay in the end with rehab, she was back on her feet. But it quickly became clear when she went home that even 4 times a day carers at home were not enough. She developed a pressure sore because in between visits she was just sleeping in her chair and not really able to. It's not even that she's not able to do things for herself, it's that she forgets that she needs to do them, as is the Alzheimer's. And so around the time that she was in hospital, we saw, not far from where we both lived already, a bungalow, which is a little bit of a stretch financially, but needs must. It's rented. We were renting our house before. Our old house would not have been suitable for Nana to move into. There was no kind of downstairs facilities or anything, and she hasn't been able to use stairs for years. And so we moved. We moved the same week that we were going on holiday. That was quite stressful being away on holiday, because although she was looked after by a reablement team, which were fantastic, and all the girls that came to her, she took to calling them my girls at the end of it because she got on with them that much. But yeah, it was just a worry about her. So now that we have her here, I'm her full-time carer now. And yeah, despite working like all my career with dementia patients and being an older person's champion and a dementia champion within the trust that I worked in, I totally underestimated how stressful it is to be a full-time carer. So we're getting there. Are we settled? I mean, this behind me looks quite done, but if I turn the camera around, which I'm not going to do, no, we're not settled. But we have got all our stuff here now. We have a garage full of boxes that we need to sort through, and slowly but surely we're going to do that. Somebody else asked me, how are the cats? They are absolutely fine. They love it here because they have a much bigger area to run around in. They are going to be going outside at some point rather than being house cats because we have a garden here. I'm a bit terrified of that, but needs must. And they have a nap buddy. They sleep most afternoons with Nana on the sofa, and she is just absolutely besotted by them. Ernie especially is Nana's little angel now. If I try and tell the cats off for anything, she says, "Oh, come here, darling." She said, "You're not a naughty boy, are you?" And things like that. Like, I can't win anymore. I cannot win. So another question that was asked, if we're looking at health things, is how do you manage your mental health during a flare? And I'm going to be honest, not well. Usually I end up spending money and buying things, which is why I'm trying to embark on a no-buy year this year, because I need to get to the root of that. I am now on a much lower income as a carer, and I'll talk a bit more about this later, but I've been reading up a lot about minimalism and decluttering and all of those things, and so that's something I'm still trying to get my head around. I had a few questions about marriage, which I've put here. I say a few, there's 2. For those of you that don't know, I am married. I have been married for nearly 10 years now, and So the first question was, does your chronic illness impact your relationship with your husband? And I would say yes and no. It's obviously horrible for him as a partner to see me in so much pain. I learned pretty early on that Tom is not a natural carer, which doesn't mean that he doesn't care and he can't do it, but it's just not something that comes naturally to him. So, for example, if I'm in pain, if I say to him, could you please get me a heat pack? Could you please do this? He will do it, absolutely no bother. But it doesn't come natural to him, like he wouldn't just think to do that. And it does affect us. It affects what we can and can't do. Like, we can't just be a spontaneous couple. I mean, even before Nana came to live with us, if we were trying to book a kind of last minute weekend away, I would have to know where the toilets were going to be. I would have to know that I was going to get a good night's sleep, because if we used to stay when we were younger in like the cheapest of cheap hotels just to get away for the night, and I can't do that anymore because I have to know that I'm going to get a good night's sleep, otherwise it will impact my next day. We used to just go to cities and just aimlessly wander. There was one day that we walked something ridiculous like 13 miles around London in one day, just aimlessly wandering, and I can't do anything of that anymore. I have to be more meticulous in my planning, which, if I sit and think about it too much, does kind of get me down, but I just try not to think about it too much. I don't know if anybody else out there with chronic illness can understand that, but it just means that everything needs a little bit more planning. Another question that I got asked, I had shared something on Instagram about non-sexual intimacy, and it was about how to have an intimate relationship, it doesn't have to mean sex. And I've been asked to talk about it more, but that's something that, let me know down below if it's something that you would be interested in hearing more about. But obviously I would have to speak to Tom before talking so openly about things like that on the internet, because I've said this in regards to other things as well. It's not something that just impacts me and my life, it's other people's lives, so it's not just my story to tell. But I will say, I think not enough is said about the intimacy of holding hands, and like, we cuddle together every night and we'll make dinner together, and we'll just, one of the things that it said on there, and this is us to a T, like, I think people think of gift giving as like big grand gestures, but it's little things like, Tom knows that one of my absolute favourite flavours is peach, and he was in a garage not long ago and saw a peach lemonade that he hadn't seen before and bought that for me. Now, to me, that absolutely brightened my day. And it's just little things like that, that you know the person is thinking of you. Or we'll send each other cat pictures or memes on Facebook Messenger and things, and it's just little things like that that I find a lot more intimate than, say, putting public displays of affection out there. But yeah, can you tell I'm a little bit rusty here? The next set of questions are all to do with books and booktube, so that's something that I am definitely comfortable talking about. Although, as we stand, we're halfway through October and I've not read very much, but what I have read has all been fantastic. So one of the questions that I wanted to address was, why are you not part of the autumn mixtape? The autumn mixtape, I believe, will be over when this video goes up, but as you can imagine, if you have listened so far, with everything going on at the moment, I just couldn't commit. I was going to try and participate as a participant, but as it's come to my reading recently, I have just had to just really be gentle with myself, not try and force myself to read, not try and force myself to have to fit prompts or anything, just read when I fancied it. As a side note, this chair that I'm sitting on is a rocking chair, which I can't decide yet if it's really kitsch and cute and nostalgic, or whether it's just plain creepy. I keep expecting it to like move in the night. But this was £10 from a charity shop, and I'm scared that I'm gonna go back. Yeah, it just, I love it. I love it. I am looking for a real kind of comfortable reading chair for in here. We do have a really comfortable sofa, and like I say, Nana naps in the afternoon, so I tend to sit and read on the sofa. So another question that I was asked was the best book of my hiatus, and I am actually, I think probably next Sunday, you're going to get a video all about the books that I read during my hiatus. But, oh, what would I say my best book was? The only thing that I can think of at the moment is I was approved literally last week for a advanced reader copy of Janice Hallett's The Alperton Angels, and I read it within 2 days. If I hadn't have been at work, I'd have probably finished it in 1 day, and that. I'm doing 2 top 10s this year. I'm doing 3 actually. I'm going to do a top 10 specifically romance and contemporary books, because I don't think they get enough credit in the world. I'm doing a top 10 everything else fiction, and then a top 10 non-fiction. And at the moment, my top book of everything else is The Alperton Angels. It was, I think, better than The Appeal. The Appeal was fantastic. I loved the mixed media. It was not like nothing I'd read before, but the ending disappointed me a bit, whereas this one was kind of perfect from start to finish. What else did I read? Oh, I read Dolly Alderton's Everything I Know About Love, and I didn't think I'd love that one as much as I did. That was fantastic. I read Insatiable by Daisy Buchanan, which had fantastic bisexual rep. I read You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry, which I loved. And yeah, it's been I've read some pretty good books over my hiatus. Quantity has been lower, but quality has definitely been up there, because anything that I wasn't feeling, I just DNF'd. I was just like, nope, life's too short to read bad books. Another question I was asked is books to help with mental health, and this is such a broad topic. And would you be interested? I have a bunch of audiobooks that I listen to kind of on repeat as falling off to sleep books. So they're always books that I've read before that I find quite soothing to my brain, and they help with mental health. Would you be interested in a video about that? But one that I wanted to mention, and Victoria from What Victoria Reads made me read this one last year, and that is Natasha Devon's, it's something like A to Z of Being Mental. I'll put it here, and I thought that book was fantastic. One of the best books on mental health that I've read. Somebody asked me for recommendations for cozy fall books, and I didn't know which direction to go in this. So I've got a few different ways. So like, I was thinking of like spooky ghost stories. And my favourite that springs to mind is Susan Hill's The Woman in Black. I read this at school and have loved it ever since. I haven't reread it for a few years, so it is probably due a reread, but part of me worries that I won't like it as much. But I didn't realise it's only 160 pages, so maybe I'll read that during spooky season. I also wanted to say what was it called? The X-Hex, which I'll put a picture here because I can't remember the author's name. To paraphrase Eva from Pretty Purple Polka Dots, this is like Hocus Pocus meets Sabrina the Teenage Witch meets, I can't remember the other one she said, but there is sex. And yeah, what more can I say about it? I think the tagline is something like, don't mix vodka and magic. And it was great. The second one is out now. Really want to buy myself that, but it's not out in physical until next year. And yeah, I keep eyeing up the Kindle edition, but as I may have already mentioned, I'm on a book buying ban, so that is that. Also, I wanted to put in Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. I have just got my hands on Defend the Dawn, which is the second in this series, but either this or the Curse Breaker series by Bridget Kemmerer, I think, are perfect for this time of year. They're just magical and political, and yeah, I can get lost in these books. While we're on the subject of witches and wizards, the Starfell trilogy by Dominique Valenti. I say trilogy, it's actually got a fourth book the paperback of which is anybody else having trouble with Waterstones? Like, it was released a couple of weeks ago and it says that the payment has been taken, preparing to dispatch, but I don't know what's going on. I thought the problems were sorted with them now, but clearly not. I have said to a lot of people, if there is a particular book series by She Who Must Not Be Named that you are craving, I think that this one will give you all the feels with none of the problematic author. We start with Willow Moss and the Lost Day, and Willow is a 10-year-old witch who isn't happy that her sisters have got better magic than her. Her magic is just for finding lost things, which she thinks is a bit of a kind of dud talent. But throughout this, she realises that actually her magic means a lot, and we follow on through her adventures, and that's a series that is definitely due a reread soon. I have already mentioned The Appeal by Janice Hallett, but I just think murder mysteries and thrillers are brilliant for this time of year. And I couldn't mention thrillers without mentioning my all-time favourite thriller author, Claire Mackintosh. I did recently read her latest book, The Last Party, which is more of a police procedural, which I didn't think I'd enjoy as much, but I don't know whether it was because it was Claire Mackintosh, but I loved it. So a quick rundown. I See You is a woman who sees her picture in I think it's like a free newspaper in London with a number under it. People are just telling her that actually it's not her. It could be anyone, but she knows it's her. And this one creeped me the heck out because I could see it happening. I Let You Go is Claire Mackintosh's debut thriller, and I thought this had the greatest twist that I have ever seen in a thriller. Let Me Lie was fantastic, twisty, 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 right up until the last line. And Hostage, the tagline for this, where was it? There was one that was, it was just save hundreds of lives or save your child. This one was set over one flight from London to Sydney, the first non-stop flight, and we know that by the end of the flight, our main character has to make a decision on whose life she will save. Someone else asked me my favourite book of 22 so far, and I've already told you about the Alperton Angels, so I'm just going to leave it there. I was asked to talk about some small booktubers that I love, and I don't know what your definition of small is, so I'm going for booktubers under 1,000 subscribers. And someone that I've already mentioned in this video is Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots. How this girl has got less than 1,000 subscribers, I don't know. She is the queen when it comes to romance, and her videos just make me chuckle so much, and she may have influenced me to buy a pair of Lucy and Yak dungarees, which I definitely didn't need, but they're fantastic. And also, she's just so much fun. So if you like my content, you will definitely like Aoife's. I'm also going to talk about Hannah from Letter M, who I think is fantastic in the way that she does her potluck wrap-ups. I love those videos. I will leave all these links down below. And thirdly, I'm going for Lucy from Thrifty Bookish Lucy, because she is interested in charity shopping, sustainability, secondhand books, and also gardening, which is something that now I have a garden, I want to get into. Someone asked me what is the worst part of booktube with chronic illness, and I think for me it's that I have all these ideas. Like, I want to get involved in all the readathons, I want to visit all the bookshops, I want to do this, that and the other, and I just don't have the energy. So yeah, that I think is the worst part of booktube for me. Like, I would love to go to kind of meetups and go meet more people, but there's so many considerations that I have to think about with my illness. A lot of them revolve around toilets and things, and I couldn't think of anything worse than going to like a big meetup and either not knowing where the toilet was and worrying about that the whole time, or there being a massive queue, or just me having to keep saying to people. So for example, when I go charity shopping with people that I know well, they know that at any point I might have to go, I've just got to go and find a toilet. But when you're around new people, yeah, it just feels a bit awkward. So yeah, they're the worst things for me about booktube with a chronic illness. Someone asked me, how is your library shaping up? And as you can see, I've got it to a place that I'm happy with at the moment. I have got my TBR in alphabetical order, apart from this shelf here, which is all of my kind of autumn books and books that I want to pick up this season. Would you like a library tour? And if yes, would you prefer one of the ones where people just give an overview of the whole thing, or would you like one of those ones where they go into depth and show every book? I would be up for doing either. I know which ones I prefer watching, but I'm not going to be the one watching it. You are, so please let me know down below. Someone has asked, where should I start with Heidi Swain? And I would say that all of Heidi Swain's series can be read as all of Heidi Swain's books can be read as standalones, but there will be minor spoilers, e.g. they might say Charlotte and her husband Tom in book 5, whereas in book 1 Charlotte is our protagonist and it's a will they won't they between her and Tom. So minor spoilers, but I have read them in order. I read the Nightingale Square series first, where there are currently 4 books out. I am currently working my way through the Winbridge series. I'm on book 4. I have read book 8, but I will be rereading it in order. And then also the Winmouth series, which I did kind of fall in love with. But I would say, do you know what? If you don't want to commit to a big series, go with the Winmouth series, because there are currently only 2 books out. Heidi is releasing a standalone novel next year, so if you can wait that long, you could wait till then. But I would say 100%, if you are happy to dive into a new series, start with book 1 of the Winbridge series, The Cherry Tree Cafe, because that debut is just perfection. And the last bookish question, I was asked if I could only read one genre for the rest of my life, what would it be? And it would have to be romance. I just think that romance is so underrated. I think that romance is such a wide drama, from the very X-rated, not safe for work type romance, to the very community-based sort of romance, but more about the character's life. And I just think that romance gets a bad rap on the whole. I really hate the saying chick lit. I hate it being called women's fiction. Like, any gender, sexual orientation, anyone can read women's fiction. But yeah, it's my favourite genre, and if anybody knows of a better word for chick lit and women's fiction, let me know. If I don't hurry up and wrap up soon, you are going to be here forever. If you've made it through to this point, well done. So I just want to quickly wrap up where I'm going to be going in the next couple of months. So I have mentioned that I'm trying to do a book buying ban and a no spend year. If you want to know more about that, I will happily go into it in more detail in another video. I have started a blog where I am doing kind of, I don't know even how to call them, because to me they just feel like things that have been going on in my head. They're kind of short form essays about chronic illness and things. I am just trying to declutter, simplify my life a bit, and just take the pressure off. I am hoping to be back to doing weekly videos for you. I am hoping to get back on the old vlogging soon. But let me know down below what kind of things you want to see from my channel, and I will try to oblige. Like I say, I am a full-time carer now, so this channel will come second to the needs of Nana. I did think about doing a kind of dementia diaries type series. This is just me thinking out loud. Like I say, I have all the ideas, but my brain and body don't always let me do them. So I hope you are well. I hope you didn't miss me too much. If you've made it to here and you don't know what to say, just leave me a pumpkin emoji down below, because it is that time of year. And until next time, look after yourselves. Bye. Why did I do the wave? I really fancy like Dr. Pepper or something. Just really don't want vegetables.
For everyone listening, I'm a 32-year-old man, not like a child walked in to try and get the sweet.
Can I have some sweets there as well? Yeah. Do you know what I really want for dinner?
What?
Pizza.
Mm.
Are they good picnics?
Very nice. Good crunch.
Do you like the straws? I can't stand them.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm.
Kind of evil bastard are you?
We've been talking about non-sexual intimacy.
Oh yeah. Are you doing that way?
I've got a really bad bellyache again.
Yeah. Don't go wasting energy on cooking.
Will you help me before we go get the washing in?